PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Liberating Menopause is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Lisa Vasquez here, your host from the Liberating Menopause. I'm so excited to talk to you today. Our subject is time poverty. And, it's really weird because technology, again, has changed so much for us. And again, this is all about balance. Having a lot of cash-rich moments with a lot of poor time balance. And this is like so important for us women in the workplace. I mean, have you ever realized that? Have you ever really added up that there's so many different ways that we're talking about time today? Because, ever since I stepped out of working, I have discovered so many new involvements of my life, regenerating myself to come into this retirement world and having so much more time, because when I was working, like everyone does, honestly, and on my day off, I think I was busier than when I'm at work. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, because even though you had the day off, and sometimes you have to use your sick day, your sick day, you're calling in, and because you need the time, right? And then you get so busy and so many things happen in that one day that now you're screaming, thinking, gosh, you should have just went to work, right? Because there's just so much. I mean, there is, necessary time. This necessary time, of course, is, the non-negotiables, the sleep, the nutrition, the hygiene, the keeping, maintenance, roof over your head, all these things, non-negotiables, these are things that we have to go for. We have to financially, keep ourselves going. But then there comes a time that when that badge comes off and you go into that retirement world, and all that generated in your life of work isn't appearing in this, what would I even call it? Life of leisure. I guess that's what you will call it, because, the time clock doesn't really have a big focus in your world anymore, for sure, because you're not controlled by it. You get to control the time. But when we're in this rage of work and all those years that we have to prosper through this, we engage ourselves habitually, adjusting and accumulating this lifestyle that really will vanish when those years accumulate and, they close the doors and it's time to retire and you have to step out. And now you have all this time on your hands, and that's not what you had before. So when you see all this time, it's like, wow, where was this when I really needed it? And so, we have this contracted time, and that's the work generated time. Where we have to go to work and we have to create this financial stability for our lives, right? And then you have the committed time, and that is a time, and it's not that we should be getting paid for the child care and everything that we do, parenting and the caregiving and all that, but it is beginning to have this effect on women in the workplace because of what it steals. We have to get the kids to school. We have these things to do. So many women, they don't have enough time in the morning, right? So they run out of the house. Their hair are in curlers, or, they didn't get to go get their hair done on the scheduled time because they ran out of time. A lot of little things that would benefit and pay that offset of that committed time is imbalanced, because that's our leisure time that we don't have, that time that we're having that moment of getaway, right? The moment that, if you're having your nails done, having somebody just, massaging your hands and doing all that, that's just such a relief. And then you find out, I can't make my appointment, so I'm going to be busy today. And that's a big stolen time. That is where time poverty comes in, because then we have that discretionary time. And this time, that's where we really get hit with having time poverty, because it's our leisure time. It's our out time. It's our time to really engage ourselves with something other than the daily, as I just said, the contracted time, the non-negotiable time. This is where the health time really comes in, that leisure time of where you can go work out, or you can go take a walk, or you can go. And these are the things that we don't get to do with a mountain of committed time that we have built. There's so many women today and children that are having schedules that are like blown up, right? They have to go to soccer. They have to go to their chess tournaments. They have to go to their rehearsals for cheerleading and pom-pom. And the mother, she gets home and she's just like crazy, because sure, the food is there, but the committed time to cook that food and really nourish at the table, that's that past wisdom time that we don't have anymore. We're losing out on that time. Even now that Thanksgiving is coming, sometimes we're having more complicated challenges with time, because getting people together, hoping that they're going to be there, overcooking and finding out that they couldn't show up, and now you did all this, and and there goes your time, and you're like, gosh, I wish I just knew that we weren't going to host that party. It's crazy, but time just has so much to do with our inner self. It's not about creating this atmosphere of this lifestyle that we're living when we're losing the time. I mean, our biological time clocks go off, right? And we head for that, right? We know that at a certain time we're going to stop that clock. It's going to end and we're prepared for that. But on the daily time where we need the rhythm over rushing, that's what's so important, is to recognize that when we don't have enough time to take care of ourselves, this is all about self-care, and this is all about self-love. Because again, when we need to pour into somebody, it's really going to be giving them a lot of fumes, because we don't have enough in us to give. We've ran out of time. When I read about time poverty and I saw how the workforce is feeling this, I mean, time poverty, it's a debt that we keep paying, and we keep, this is where really restoration begins, when we can remember wisdom in ourselves and the timeless times. I mean, there used to be a time that there was enough time to get things done, orchestrated, but now with technology, we've brought so much extra time in. I mean, the clock never really stops on us, because even though we shut the lights off and go to sleep to rest, the minute we wake up, we jump right back into the phones and the time, and everything starts going off again. And it's just very unhealthy for our bodies, because in all that, where was the moment to have the mindfulness? Where did we get to relax the mind and regenerate it? I mean, we take life as though our when we eat, it's like a garbage disposal. There's just so much stuff going in, and people don't really consider everything that's being affected with that. Nobody's really looking at the food that we're eating to say, am I getting the nutrition? Is this really going to feed me? There's so many things about the mindfulness about our health. I was just watching on, if I'm not mistaken, Good Morning America, and they were showing how, and comparing us to the other side of the pond, of how just in our bread alone, there's so many ingredients on our list. And then when you look at their bread over there, I think there was only 8 ingredients on the list. So they were comparing a lot of our foods and seeing all these different ways that we eat compared to them. And it's our health that is at risk, right? People were not used to really reading labels and seeing even something like peanut butter, as easy as peanut butter. I mean, it really should just have a few little indications on it, like salt, peanuts, and water, I think is one of the ingredients. Palm oil sometimes, I think. But if you really look at a peanut butter jar, you're going to see a whole list of things, right? But we're in a hurry, so we're going to eat that. We're going to, make those sandwiches and, make it as quick as possible. Whatever we can do that we think we're feeding ourselves healthy, but nutritionally we're empty. And that's the problem with our time poverty as far as our leisure time. We have no rhythm over the rush. We just do and do and do and reach for things that are so simplifying in life, but we've forgotten, lost what the commitment to that meal time is all about. And that's sharing, bringing family together, having the moments, wondering what you did today. We don't, a lot of times, there's not even time to ask what they did today. And then what do the children say? Oh, same old thing. I mean, they don't even have time to explain to us what their day was about because, to them, it was just the same old thing. Okay, so I studied this, I studied that, but we're trying to get into them to find out more. And that's the time that we're losing. This is the holiday seasons. We are going up on more stress levels. Everything is raising and engaging in us. And again, I was telling you, liberating menopause is all about really bringing that hormonal structure to you, really bringing the balance that, the balance that cost us really, because when we have sleep deprivation, our hormonal breakdown is really a burnout. It accumulates, right? Because we're lack of sleep. I mean, hormonally, this is what's so important for us in the workplace, because this was never anything that was pointed out to bring us a revival of, you could keep rushing. And if you're going to do that, that's great. But a really good person with that, a lot of self-care, a lot of self-love is really going to want to take the time to really get that nourishment, sleep soundly, not half asleep, half awake. The phone might be near you and it's vibrating and you hear it. So you're really not down in that deep sleep where the body should be repairing. This is all about our hormonal life and how, since we know more today about bringing balance to that hormone, it's like it's really a cash payout. We keep putting into the checking account, right? Because we're building. But what happens when you overdraw and you're taking out and you're taking out and you're taking out and nothing's going in? That's kind of how we are in our life cycle of time. We keep giving in, but sometimes we overdraw and we just keep overdrawing. There's no time for sleep. I mean, I know so many women today that really don't have a lot of time to sleep. I mean, they're so busy. They could have more than one job, or they have a lot of deadlines to meet. And this part is just so important because that's where our nourishment really comes in. Besides what we put into our bodies, but what we give to what our body actually needs. My reason for this care as currency is because if we do not take the time today, especially in the workplace, in the years of these workplaces, you could be in your 20s and 30s and you think time is everything, that there's nothing that really is making you stop to check in with yourself because, we're a free spirit at that point. But when we start getting all these little signals and whispers and aches and pains and things that weren't there before, now we stop and we think about it. But now then we also use an excuse and say, okay, maybe because I stood out late all night or something, maybe, there's always going to be a reason that we will talk ourselves into. But honestly, if you really look at yourself, you really need to consider, because that is the time that's going to show on you. And what it's going to do is break down on you. And if you don't make time to give to yourself now, when it comes down to the break time, you have to make the time, because your body will be like engine block. You're just going to stop. It's just not going to move. It's just not going to work. There's people that are in a lot of like a pain that can't be explained. I mean, so unexplainable. They're going in for an MRI. They're hoping they're going to find the answers. They've been up all night. The stress is killing them because they can't sleep. It can't get figured out. They have to take the time. They have to take the time to get to the doctor. Then they get rescheduled right when they thought they were going to find relief, right? Right when they thought, oh gosh, my troubles are almost over. They're going to figure out what my problem is. I'm going to get my MRI today. And then they call up and say the machine went down and now you cannot get that exam. Now you have to wait another 3 more weeks. In the meantime, you're having this pain that can't be, how would you say, controlled by medications, because it's something deeper than that. And until we can get that imaging to really see it, it can't really be helped. So you're taking these things and really hoping, but the pain is overseeding that, and you're up all night, and there we have to make time, right? And now we have the time to get it done, and now they don't have the time to take us in. And this is what I mean. When the body breaks down, it's going to make sure that you give it the time, because if we didn't get to that point, because we were nourishing ourselves, nurturing ourselves, checking on ourselves, having a checklist of our life, of ourself. We have a checklist for, the daily duties, the things that need to get done ahead of time, right? We have those checklists, but where's our checklist? Back to the story that I was talking about, how when we go to the doctors, they already have their checklist, but we walk in, and even though we had it, once they start talking, we forget what we were going to say. Now we walked out, we ran out of time. And now you have to wait till the next appointment. And he's not really scheduled to see you for another year, which makes things more complicated, because you got to get back in there because you forgot to ask one question. And, it's really sad, but, because the healthcare industry also runs out of time. They're only on a certain clock to see everybody. And so when that time goes, getting back in really gets complicated. And again, in the meantime, you're in this ailment because the accumulation added up. The signs were signaling, the dashboard lights were coming on in your head. You knew this, but there was no time. And this is what happens when we're in the workplace. And in the past, these were not things that were ever related to a hormonal imbalance or changes that are happening in a woman's body. And this is why I want to bring it to your attention, because it's not just in relationships. I was just really discussing one of those, and the complications was just that, on the male side of things, he just saw that, hey, we're getting old, and these are just the things that are happening. And I was just like appalled to think that, like, oh my gosh, I'm old, but that's not my thought. I would never even think like that. We're getting old, so this is just the way it is. No, we want to get old. We do, because we have no choice, right? But we want to do it in a graceful, good time. We don't want to just say, okay, this is just what we have to deal with. No, if we can stay on track with our life, keep up with ourselves, really nourish ourselves in a rhythm that flows for not only the committed time, the non-negotiable time, the best time, of course, is that time, that leisure time, the discretionary time, that time is, again, that's the golden hour, because that is really, really what the body wants. The body wants to take a walk aimlessly just to be outside. The body wants to dose a dose of nature. It wants to sit in green valleys and inhale fresh grass that was just cut down, the perfumed air that comes from that, the music of birds singing instead of all this crazy stuff that's on the radios that, is just really, to me, more head banging. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I had some great music with some words that made sense, and, and then it started to get crazy, but it still, becomes head banging a little bit, right? But to be outside in nature, really giving our body that type of healing, that is why it's such a golden hour for leisure, for hobbies, for social connection. Another thing, we don't have a lot of time for that social connection, especially, I was talking about the hybrids, when we go to work and we're working from home and we're away from the office and we're away from all that. And unless there's a major meeting being called to the team app that you join in on, we should be able to ask to create a weekly time so that we can remember that we're not just at home with all the same things happening around us. It's that we have to remind ourselves that we're at work at home and we're having the social connection of talking work lingo instead of home lingo, the language that you're just used to. And you don't want to be accustomed to just that. You want to be open to receive a lot more information, because the brain needs a lot to do, for sure, but it also needs back to the relaxation, back to, getting that balance, bringing the mindset, the meditation. I know in the past, I used to have a lot of, I love going to the gym, for sure. I do like working out. When I came into working out, I really couldn't believe I was never a runner, never, but I run. I never did some of these things and challenged my body a long time ago in my 20s. So to see myself doing it today is just like really crazy for me, but it's the exuberation. It's what you feel. It is that, that really increase of energy. And there's so many sluggish bodies today that are just drowning because they're so tired. And, I say this to the young people a lot, because when I was working, of course, I'm in that senior position, being one of the elders, but looking at the young people, watching them, begin to have a lot of insulin resistance, have a big abdominal growth, being so young, knowing that when they get off of work, they're like so tired. They just want to go home. They just want to kick their feet up. Sometimes they'll even say this when, on social media, and just talk about, being lazy, just literally being lazy. Because that's all you think that, that is going to make you feel good, right? I can't wait to get home, and I can't wait to kick my feet up. I can't wait to just get my favorite pillow. Yeah, but if we could reverse that thought and mindset, if we can say, wow, I can't wait to get to the gym. I know there's a lot of people that love to say those words, because I'm one of them, but we need a lot more people to want to say that. I want to get out there and embody the signals, that the wisdom that my body's teaching me to go after. I want to listen, because if I don't listen today, I hate for my body to make me do something tomorrow that I'm going to be chained to after that. Because after that one appointment, you have to go to another appointment, and now you have to go see a specialist, and you have to wait to get into that one. And the demands are there, and you are actually planning an appointment or a vacation, and now you can't go on that vacation because that's the day the specialist is going to be open for you, and you need to get there. So this is what I mean about when we don't listen to the signals, when we're not listening to the body whispers, when we're not considering that it's a hormonal change, when we're not stopping to look at our age. Where are we in our life cycle of those hormonal changes? And especially when you're coming up to perimenopause, if you never thought about it in your 20s and your 30s of how to regulate yourself, nourish yourself, if you just burned out on a lot of partying and never sleeping and imbalanced eating. And now we have this stuff that's called ultra processed foods. And they have found that the ultra processed foods that we're eating very quickly are really giving us more destruction, a lot more inflammation, causing a lot more chronic health challenges in our bodies. And this is where those 20s and 30s, we're not recognizing that. And this is where I really need you to recognize it. We have so many young people who are diabetics. We have so many young people that have fatty livers because of all the things that we're eating today that are not healthy. And, the board of ed, the food that they feed the kids today, you get really astonished when you hear that. Oh my God, this school feeds them really, balanced meals. And then you look at this other school and it's not. And then you look at this other school and they're planting a garden and learning how to eat vegetables and raising gardens for vegetables. These little small plants in our mind to see. I mean, those kids who are planting these gardens in their school, watching it all develop. Some chefs come into those schools and they cook from that garden and teach them and give them that food that they're not used to eating, but now they had the flavor of it. So hopefully that'll last and linger and they'll want more. But majority of the time, it's really getting those quick fixed cupcakes and, things that, I know one person who just loves all sweets, cookies, donuts, all that stuff, and it was just crazy because, certain age, and in this case, somewhere around 70, it all caught up. And she's 70 years old, and it all caught up with her. And when that happened, there was a part of her that had to be removed. I mean, she's 70 years old and everything was going great. And then because of a cookie monster that had been in her life all the time, things changed. It finally struck, and her whole life changed because now she can't be a cookie monster anymore. But that's the whole thing. Here she is, really dramatic at 70, and now a small body challenge has come into her life, and hopefully it doesn't get any more complicated than that, and that's a good thing. But that wouldn't be the greatest time that she would want to have these things removed because you're 70 years old, right? I mean, things that we do today, as I said, being in your young ages, taking care of yourself in the workplace now as you generate, because this is your life every day. And that one part is non-negotiable, right? I mean, you have to be there all the time. These are your hours all the time. This is when you're going to have lunchtime. And and that should be a very honored time where you really, if you're not going to be able to make it home for dinner, to have that big dinner table and, cook that meal. If you can do that the night before and prepare that great lunch for you to enjoy your nourishment during the day, it's so important, because where the timeless wisdom restores us, by going back to what the table looked like a long time ago, by going back to so many things are coming back as timeless. I was just watching again on TV. Ralph Lauren is creating this beautiful mystical Christmas beauty in pictures of timeless times, making it negotiable for us today to recreate that and bring that image, host those trees, bring a nice fresh tree in and celebrate, because when you decorate that tree, the enjoyment of the spirit jumps into you, and the energy of the pines and the scent fills you with such a gleam that I can't even explain it to you. Because if you do that and you do love fresh trees, I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say. But any kind of nature dose is the best thing for us. So just restoration, it begins when we remember, because wisdom, it is timeless. I mean, everything that was done in the past, long time ago, before the ultra processed foods, before the junk food came out, all that was good times, and that was good stuff for our bodies. And today, because the time runs out, because we're rushing and we're doing this and we're doing that, and forgetting chasing the exclusive 8-hour day, because it's no longer 8 hours. It can go all the way till 9 o'clock at night, and it really gets hard and complicated when your time runs all the way to 9 o'clock at night. And now here you are, you have to hurry up and rush, right? You got to get something to eat, and then you have to go to bed, and you don't have time. And that's the whole thing. I know a lot of women, they don't have time. They don't have time to go to sleep. And it just really shocks me, because really some of them get up at 1:30 in the morning, so because they have to start their day at 3, but they don't go to bed till about 10. And, when they should have been in bed at 7, but they have so much to do. We always have a lot to do. But what we really need to remember is the committed time to ourselves, to give us that golden hour for leisure, to take ourselves seriously today, because ourselves, our bodies will make you take it seriously later. Right when you have no clocks to follow, you're tied up on a time clock, because it's appointments after appointments, exams after exams, medications that are going to run you on a clock, certain hours that you have to eat. And there's certain hours that you have to wait in the morning to eat, because you got to take the medication first. So that's a whole different time clock. And that's why today, with time poverty, this is all in new stages. I mean, and this all comes from this new generation of our technology. But you have to remember that there's different ways that we could enjoy the time and the clock. And when we get into those retirement and we start heading for that, you really want to hope that, you're only headed for nutrition, vitamins, leisure. I mean, I'm getting ready to collect, start my Medicare, and I'm excited about that, because they got gym times. They have different benefits to go to the gyms. I mean, I was like, wow, can you imagine that you can enroll in that this time? I mean, that I thought was a very clever thing. I'm excited about that program, because when I retired, I had to step down from the gym because I had to do some cutbacks, right? So I'm looking forward to that. And anybody else who's out there, that we have until December 7th. We have to make those choices and decisions, more things to decide, because we have our new IDs. We have that new Medicare card that is going to benefit the rest of our lives, right? It's going to help us nourish ourselves. And that was one big benefit that I'm excited for. They even do have some food costs that they're going to help you out with. There's so many different new benefits that step into that. But by getting to that level, and hopefully you're on the time that's going to release you into freedom to make choices, that's because of the choices you're making today in your workplace, the choices you're making on the schedules when you go home, the choices you're making to relax the mind, to relax the body, to put yourself to sleep. Those choices are going to add up into your checking account as a very cash-rich lifestyle. And that's where I want you to go with all of this, because our hormones, they're going to be there for a while, and those are the things that are really working us out more than anything. So by bringing balance into our lives with that and incorporating those thoughts, not just, so if you never knew anything about hormones and you were just working every day like I did, you know what I mean? I only knew it, again, I tell you, is because the women taught me. I got to see it. I had a 30-year advance notice because they were older than me. I got to see the stages. I got to see the steps. Had I never been in that realm, which a lot of you are not seeing it in that way, because we just get up and go to work. That's what I did every day, right? I didn't know. I didn't know when I was 30 and I gained 163 pounds. It all blew up on me because of the lack of sleep and everything I did in my party years of the 20s. So 30 blew me up. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I didn't know it was hormones. I know today what happened when I look back. And this is why I'm showing you the stages and the steps and the preparations and the nourishment that's involved, so that when you come out, one big news flash I have to tell you today is that for me, I told you I just love doing a lot of things. And because of all the women who helped me achieve my life to this point and generate it in a good, balanced way by keeping my checking account in health current and updated and increased. I didn't take out a lot of withdrawals because I knew the importance of all those steps and stages. This is why I want to bring it to you so you understand, because without that cover, if you never heard this and you never knew anything about your hormones being part of your life at work, all you're going to do is work every day, go to work, get up, eat, do the same things, do everything. And there's never going to be that thought until finally you're 35, and you could even be 30 when it kicks in and the whispers come, but you're still working through them all, because a lot of women, we just say, suck it up, buttercup, just push through it, walk it off, so what? It's an ailment. Okay, you got cramps. You still got to go to work, right? Yeah, no. We have to remember ourselves, and we really have to nourish ourselves today so that we can have and generate a better life when you come into this retirement age and stage. And I really wish you the best as you're journeying toward that. I hope some of the signals of this timeless wisdom that I want to bring to you, it teaches us. I mean, those women that I learned from, so say they were 50. So, this is the 80s. So they're giving me lifestyles when they had a great environment, and they had, the 60s and the 50s. The 70s. I mean, they had really good stuff to, minerals in our food and all that stuff. They did have table talk time. They had all of that. And then it just started evolving, ticking away. And there goes our clock time. So really look at the clock and see the balance of that clock today. Because again, when you go into retirement, that other clock that starts ticking is either going to set you free, where, sometimes I don't even know the date. I have to say, what's today's date? What's today's date? Or what time is it? I don't have a lot of clocks. I love clocks, but for some reason I don't have them in my bedroom because they tick too loud, right? So I have to go look at my phone, right? And then that's going to mess me up in the middle of the night because I just opened up the blue light on my brain and made it think that, I want to wake up, and I don't. So again, that extra clock, thinking about that clock. You want to be scheduled with the medications, the appointments, and all this stuff. This is why, from what I've seen in my past life, working with everybody in the medical system, as they came in and it progressed in the way women were going into signs of tails all over them because of the lack of energy, the lack of sleep, all these things that started to show up. We don't want to live that way. And now that I can bring this to you, I bring it as this benefit, this little bit of information that's going to really expand your life and change it and bring you to a good point of life, of leisure. That golden hour. These are golden days. This is the golden thread that'll thread you through it. So always think of that when you're looking at that clock. Think about that golden time that you want to enjoy. And thank you so much for hearing me today. Liberating Menopause. This is Lisa Vasquez, your host, coming to you. Have a wonderful new season. I will be back. We're going to be talking about more of that ultra processed foods because the season is coming. The food and things are going to start adding up on the table. And it's all about how you're going to be engaging in that. So we really have to talk about that because a lot of that stuff could be destructive, especially with certain ages and stages of our lives. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Lisa Vasquez. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code envisinu.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.